I'm Monica Carter, and I'm the owner of Fitness Science Incorporated. This is a series of videos that I decided to do to show you how you can take very basic, very simple exercises that most of you know and make them more and more difficult and challenging. These are exercises that will work on all your stabilizing muscles. There's a lot of core, all your abdominals will be working, plus the particular muscle groups that you're trying to work at the same time. Today we'll talk about the back. The back, as you know, you can work in so many different ways. There are so many different muscles in your back that you want to try to work different muscle fibers at different angles, as many angles as possible. And I will only be able to show you one exercise today on the ball, but we're going to move on to the cable machine, and I'll show you the variations that incorporate more balance and more core, and actually some leg muscles too. And we'll do variations on the low and parallel and high row. Okay, so let's start with the ball pullover. Again, a lot of people do pullover on the bench, and the unfortunate thing is that there is a natural curve in your lower back, which is not unfortunate, but the unfortunate thing is that a lot of people don't stabilize correctly, and they arch the back tremendously. They don't use their abdominals, and the back ends up under a lot of stress. So the ball actually creates a really nice curve for the back, and I prefer doing it on the ball and incorporating more abdominals to give myself a little extra challenge. So you're gonna slide on the ball with your head and your upper back on the ball, but this time I am shifting my whole body back just a tiny bit more. So my head is a little bit more at an angle back. Not really hyperextended, but just slightly more back. It actually will protect your back and make it a little bit easier in this particular exercise. Then I grab the dumbbell with both hands in the middle, and make sure, again, you don't drop your butt, you keep the hips up, keep your feet really close together, and you're slowly bringing your arms back and stretching through your lats and your teres muscles, and then coming back up over your chest. And back all the way, slowly coming back up. Now, I'm contracting my glutes all the time. Believe me, it's not only my back working, it's my core, my glutes, my back muscles, my legs, everything. Even though they're not really moving, they are constantly contracting isometrically. And I'm going to do just 8 so that we can move on. I am inhaling on the way back and exhaling as I move the leg forward and back. Okay, bring the weight down and slowly roll yourself up. Okay, so we're starting with a high row, and we're going to do it standing on one leg. Most of you can do it on both legs, so I'm going to skip it. But a high row is basically, sometimes people call it 45-degree row. It's basically an exercise here, and you're standing, pulling back. It works your teres major, it works your latissimus dorsi, it works your middle traps. In this position, lower traps also, because the pulley is pretty high. Okay, so just a quick version of it. And I'm going to do it on one leg, first the opposite, then the same leg to make it a little bit harder. And again, it creates a little balance component. So here we go. Make sure the leg you're standing on is really straight, your glutes are tight. Hold it at the end, push, and let it go forward, and pull. And I am breathing out as I'm pulling. Now I'm trying to keep my head in line with my spine. I'm leaning back just a little bit to be able to hold that balance. I'm going to do 2 more. And then I'm just going to switch legs. And again, this is a different exercise, so decide which one you want to do. It's either on the opposite leg or on the same leg. It just makes it a little bit harder to balance. You have to counteract the rotation with your abdominals, especially your obliques. Okay, so this is a slight variation on the previous exercise, and I actually prefer to do it on the ball because it brings my upper body a little bit lower and creates a better angle to work on your lower trapezius. And most people, it's the upper trapezius that's overworked, the shoulders are up, it's the lower trapezius that's underworked. So trying to work it as much as possible is really important in the gym, and I find that a lot of people have this muscle very, very weak. Okay, so we're going to start on the ball. Again, the exercise looks like this, and I'm going to make it a little harder by lifting the legs. So I'm holding the opposite leg down and keeping my upper body as straight as I can, using my abdominals. So there's a lot of balancing going on. And again, try to align your head with your spine, so you're looking slightly up, slightly at an angle, somewhere towards that cable, rather than holding your head like this. It's going to be harder for you to pull the shoulder blades together. Try to pull both shoulder blades together at the end, really contract. Again, it's a slow movement. And then I'm just going to switch legs. It makes it a little bit harder on the same side. I'm actually going to move the ball off to the side a little bit. And as long as you can hold your hips in one position on the ball, this is a little bit harder. Again, choose one or the other, not both. And last one. So another variation of a row. This is called a parallel row because you have the cable, your arm parallel to the floor. And again, I'm going to do it on the opposite leg for increased difficulty. I'm leaning back just a little bit to engage the right leg that I'm standing on. I'm keeping my glutes really, really tight in the right leg. Upper body straight, hold the balance. Again, nothing in your whole body should be moving except that arm that you're working. You'll see people moving all over the place. If you can't hold yourself very, very stable, then you're just simply not ready for this exercise, and you need to bring both legs down and start with a normal, simpler variation. Okay, but otherwise, you keep one leg up, and then to increase the difficulty, we're gonna switch and, whoops, stay, as you see, on the same leg. Okay, a little bit harder. I'm tending to turn, so make sure you use your glute to hold that leg stable, as well as your obliques right here, your abdominals and your obliques, to prevent that turn. You may want to keep, if you feel any tension in the knee, you may want to keep that leg a little bit bent. It just makes it a little bit easier on the knee in this particular position. And again, nothing moves but my arm. And pull back. Remember, it's the shoulder blades going together. I'm bringing my left shoulder blade towards the spine. I'm trying to keep my upper trapezius out of the picture completely, keeping my elbow close to my body, squeezing and releasing. Same exercise. Some of you, I think, depending on your stability of your ankle, depending on the strength, and not the strength so much, but the endurance of your abdominals, your leg muscle endurance, and so on. Some of you will find the standing one easier. Some of you will find the one on the ball easier. It really depends, but they are both challenging. So I'm doing the right arm. My left leg is on the floor. That's a slightly easier version. Same idea. Keep your upper body straight. Your spine is nice and lifted. Abs are tight. Full extension. I'm not letting my upper body slide forward. Okay, I'm keeping my shoulders square. I'm letting my arm stretch all the way, but I'm not overstretching through the shoulders, right? So the shoulders are not really moving that much. Arm just goes forward. Pull back, squeeze. Try to bring your shoulder blade down to your tailbone. This is the way I try to always explain to my clients if they tend to lift the shoulder up. The shoulder should go down and the elbow and the shoulder blade towards your tailbone. And now I'm going to switch legs, a little more difficult version. Probably you want to shift the ball a little bit more to the side so that arm is in line with your cable and it's not pushing you over, rather pulling you over. And you're exhaling as you're pulling the weight. And 4 more. the low row, a little different version. You're going to be in a squat position. Now, one thing to remember is if you do a squat, you're basically trying to keep the natural lumbar curve in your spine. You're never curving the spine under, your butt under. You're sticking your tush out as if you're sitting back into a chair. And this is the position I want you to stay in. You're going to work your legs in an isometric contraction here. And you're going to stay nice and tight. You may feel the burn, that's fine. Just keep your spine nice and straight, elevated. Your abdominals are supporting your spine. And you're doing a nice row. Again, your elbow close to your hip. And just do 8, and then we'll move on. And again, I'm not coming up and down. I'm holding this position. So you're getting a double benefit of working all your core muscles, stabilizing you as well as your legs. It's like a holding squat in a way. And one more. And the last version, most difficult one, same idea, one arm low row, cable machine, and you're going to stay on one leg. So we're going to do the opposite leg. It's probably a little hard to do it on the same leg. We can try, but if you're lifting with your left arm, go ahead and stand on your right leg. You're going to be in a squat position. Remember, your upper body is still fairly upright. You're holding your spine straight, your abdominals tight. And remember, this is a pretty advanced exercise, so make sure you can complete all the other ones that I just showed you first so that you can do this one correctly. Okay, so your weight is distributed through the whole foot. I am sort of in a one-leg squat position, and I'm trying to be as stable as I can, just pulling that arm towards me, close to my hip. And I'm feeling my glutes, my hamstrings, my quads. Everything is working here. It's a pretty difficult exercise to do. Do 3 more, and then we'll try to do it on the same leg and see what we'll get with that. Okay, good. So now we're going to switch legs and do it on the same side. Okay, a little bit harder. Again, you have to work with your obliques and all your abdominals to try to prevent you from turning to the right. I'm doing left arm right now. I'm going to do 3 more. Try to keep that upper body as stable as you can. And last one. Okay, so this completes our back workout for today. I'll see you next time for biceps. So keep these exercises within 12 to 20 repetition range. You don't want to lift too much weight. These are not exercises for improving your strength tremendously, for increasing hypertrophy and building big muscle. You can get really toned, you can get much leaner, you will improve your muscular endurance for sure, and start with lighter weights, for sure, lighter weights. Make sure you can stabilize correctly and that nothing is hurting, all your joints are stable. You can hold the positions that I showed you before you move on to full range and increasing the weights.